right, we're with Calvin. He's been testing the Jet 9 RDO. Calvin, when you're talking about strengths on this bike, what do you think its strengths are?
Well, I think the strengths of this bike is that it's built like a race bike. It has a supple about it in the sense as far as absorbing the rocks and roots and things like that, and that nature, because it's carbon fiber. That is a really good strength portion of it. It's still light in the sense as far as this particular build, so you do get the lightness feel of a race bike.
So how'd you feel it was accelerating?
Well, the great thing about this is that, you know, you're running a 2x up front, a 2x10. You know, you kind of point and stroke and it goes. You know, it's not a lot of lag. You don't have to be on top of the bike for it to push. You just, you know, you pedal, you push and pull, and it goes.
Okay, as far as lateral stiffness, do you feel like it was a stiff frame?
Yes, definitely a stiff frame in the sense the carbon fiber, it felt good.
Okay, so now you're a pretty powerful guy. So when you're really getting on the pedals, do you feel like the bottom bracket, any twisting or any unwanted flex in that area?
You know, I have yet to be on any bottom bracket with my size and weight that hasn't flexed just a little bit, but that's not a bad thing. Again, I'm 220 some odd pounds, so when I lay the torque down and consistently do that over an hour, 2 hour ride, it's going to be a little flex in there, but nothing that I think that any rider should be concerned with.
Okay, so we rode it in two modes. We rode it with a 120 millimeter fork, then we rode it to Talus, so it drops down to I think 95 millimeters.
Yes.
With that 95 mil, the lower front end, what do you feel like it did better than the 120 fork?
Well, that is great. I mean, we had a chance to kind of test that out. You know, the 95 millimeter. You know, I was kind of reluctant at first, but once I started climbing and got into really tricky switchback and rock gardens, it worked like a charm. You can point it. You didn't have to do a lot of work to get the bike to go in the direction in which you wanted it to go, and it responded very well with that particular mode on.
Okay, so extending it to 120 millimeters, what did you feel like it did well in that mode?
Well, the 120 extension, it's always going to feel better when you're plowing down hills and you got jumps in front of you and stuff like that. You know, it just allowed you to eat up the hills and keep your speed going downhill. But you know, one of the most positive things that I want to make sure everybody knows about this particular bike that comes with the Talus shock is that it's flexible. I mean, if you want to do some of the gnarly switchbacks with rock guards, you have that option. If you want to do some of the downhill jumps, you also have that option with the 120. It allows this bike to be a lot more flexible than what you would get in this price range. This is great. I have lots of positive things to say about this particular fork on the Jet 9.
Okay, very good. Now, what would you say that its weaknesses were? So we covered a lot of the strengths. What would you say, where does it kind of leave off? Do you ever wish for more?
Well, me being a bike enthusiast, I'm always going to wish for more, but it's basically what I can get. And with this particular build-up, I don't see anything particularly wrong with it. I think it's built well for what's on the bike, and I don't have anything that I would dismiss and say, oh, that's a red flag, don't get this bike.
What about handling characteristics?
Handling characteristics work great. Again, you know, this bike was very responsive in the sense as far as going over rock gardens, going downhill, keeping your speed.
I'm trying to hear some bad stuff. So where did it leave off?
Again, let's back up. I've had this bike for almost 2 months now. So I had a chance to kind of break it in and really look for something that was negative, and I don't really have anything negative to say about this particular bike. If I had to basically say something that was not in the positive, it would basically be on the rims that they came with the bike. But other than that, I think it's still a great value and a great bike.
So what is wrong? What would you say? What would you prefer as far as a wheel set goes?
Well, you know me, I'm a weight weenie. I would love to go with some carbon fiber rims on this bike to make it even a little lighter, a little more responsive.
Okay, so there's nothing wrong with the rims per se.
No.
You would prefer.
No, nothing wrong with these particular rims at all. It's just basically one of those things, needs versus wants.
Okay, all right, thank you. And what kind of rider do you think is going to get the most out of the 9 or Jet 9 RDO?
Well, two type of riders. The first rider, a guy who wants to race because of the flexibility with the 95 millimeter up to the 120 with the Taos fork. And the other guy is the guy who wants to do trail riding, gets in the hard switchbacks with rock gardens and things of that nature. That guy is going to have the flexibility to do whatever he wants, to train however he wants, go back and forth between what the bike offers.
Okay, great. Thanks, Calvin.